Have you ever stopped to think about well, the invisible stuff that keeps global trade moving? The things happening deep under the ocean?
It's easy to overlook, right? But it's this foundational work, the silent engines, that really powers so much of the global economy.
Exactly. And today, we're doing one of our custom deep dives into exactly that world. We're looking at the global marine engineering equipment design market.
hmm And our roadmap for this, it comes straight from Cognitive Market Research. They've put together a really comprehensive forecast looking at the market from 2021 right through to 2033.
It's quite the detailed picture.
Oh, definitely. It covers a sector that, you don't hear about every day, but it's absolutely vital.
So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to pull out the key nuggets for you, give you a shortcut, really, to understanding this crucial but maybe under the radar sector,
Yeah, we'll look at how big it is now, where it's heading.
and break down what's going on in all the major regions, even specific countries.
And understanding this, it isn't just for people in the industry.
No, not at all. It actually gives you a unique perspective on bigger things like global economic shifts, infrastructure trends, and maybe where the smart money and innovation are heading.
Get ready for a few, hopefully, aha moments along the way.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's set the stage first with the big picture. What's the overall size, the growth path for this global marine engineering equipment design market?
Right. And just to clarify up front, when we say marine engineering equipment design,
Uh-huh.
we're not really talking about the finished metal, the actual ships or platforms necessarily.
Okay, so what are we talking about then?
We're talking about the intellectual part,
Yeah.
the design work, the blueprints, the specialized know-how that goes into creating everything from, say, propulsion system,
Navigation gear.
exactly, or offshore structures, subsea pipelines, you name it. It's the foundational thinking, the brain power behind all that critical ocean stuff. Think of it like the architects and head engineers for anything that works on or under the water.
Gotcha. The design before the build. And the numbers for just that design work, they're actually pretty striking.
They really are.
So back in 2021, global sales revenue was $3,521.42 million.
Just over $3.5 billion.
Right. And by 2025, that's coming up soon, it's projected to hit 4,454.209 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking out further to 2033, the forecast climbs to a pretty impressive 7,125.99 million.
Yeah, that's more than double the 2021 figure.
Wow.
And what that works out to is an overall compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 6.05% across that whole period,
Yeah.
2021 to 2033,
Okay.
which indicates, really consistent, strong growth. It shows there's sustained demand for this kind of high-level design expertise.
Right. A 6.05% She's AGR over, 12 years? That definitely points to a healthy market overall. But like you said, the really interesting stuff for you, our listener, often lies beneath that global number. It's about where this growth is actually concentrated.
Exactly. Because while 6.05% is strong globally, the regional stories are incredibly varied. You see different speeds, different drivers, different opportunities, really.
Okay, so let's break that down. Where are these distinct currents strongest?
Let's start with North America. The data shows revenues there were just under $1 billion in 2021, $961.346 million.
Okay.
And that's expected to grow to over $1.8 billion by 2033. The overall regional CGR there is 5.518%. So solid growth.
Solid, yeah. But within that, is there anything that particularly jumps out in North America?
Well, the U.S. is obviously the biggest chunk by value, starting at $772.9 million back in 2021. Its growth is steady, 5.251% CAGR. But the real eye-opener, I think, is Canada.
Oh.
Canada started smaller, around $149 million in 2021, but is projected to hit nearly $337 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 7.037%.
Wow, that's quite a bit higher than the U.S. rate.
It is. It really hints at some specific drivers. Could be increased focus on Arctic shipping, maybe offshore resource development, stuff like that. Mexico's growing too, but more moderately, around 4.15%.
Interesting. Okay, let's cross the Atlantic to Europe. That region started even bigger than North America, over $1 billion in 2021, 11,116.29 million. And it's projected to get to over $2.1 billion by 2033, with a KGR slightly higher than North America's at 5.622%.
Yeah.
Europe's always a complex picture, though, right? Lots of established maritime players.
Absolutely. It's a real mix. You've got your established leaders showing stable growth, like the UK and Germany. They were big markets in 2021. Other TGRs around the 5% mark, 5.07% for the UK, 5.43% for Germany. Solid, but steady.
Right.
But then you see some real acceleration elsewhere. Look at Italy, 6.197% CAGR. Spain's even higher at 6.518%.
Okay.
And Russia is really surging, relatively speaking, at 6.757% CAGR.
So what's driving that faster growth in places like Italy, Spain, and Russia?
It likely points to specific national initiatives. Maybe Italy's investing heavily in naval tech or port upgrades. Spain could be similar. For Russia, it's almost certainly linked to their ambitions in the Arctic, the Northern Sea Route, that kind of strategic development.
Makes sense. And other European countries?
Yeah. France shows decent growth too, 5.8%. Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, they all contribute, showing it's quite varied across the continent. Even the rest of Europe category is growing, though a bit slower at 3.32%.
Okay, now, this is where you said it gets really interesting, right? Asia Pacific.
Yes. This is the powerhouse region for growth in this market.
The numbers are big, just under $1 billion in 2021, 996.561 million. But projected to soar past $2.1 billion, actually 2,176.99 million by 2033.
And that comes with the highest regional CAGR globally. We're talking 6.728%, a significant driver of the overall global growth.
So what's fueling this incredible expansion across Asia Pacific? Is it just China?
Well, China is the biggest market by value, no doubt. Started at around $315 million in 2021, and it's growing strongly at 6.414%. But it's not actually the fastest growing major player in the region.
Really?
India. India is the standout here.
Yeah.
And actually, it has the highest country-level CAGR globally in this report.
Wow. Okay, what are the numbers for India?
Started at about $159.5 million in 2021. It's projected to hit over $424 million by 2033. That's an 8.502% CAGR.
8.5%, that's huge.
It's massive. It really signals enormous investment in infrastructure, port modernization, probably boosting domestic shipbuilding through things like the Make in India initiative. They're clearly building up their capabilities significantly.
Incredible. Any other standouts in APAC?
Definitely. Australia is showing strong growth, 7.174% CAGR, likely linked to resource exports and maybe naval projects. And Singapore, reinforcing its hub status, is growing even faster at 7.269%. Japan and South Korea are also growing solidly, over 6%. It's just a very dynamic region for maritime development right now.
It certainly sounds like it. Okay, let's shift focus south to South America. The numbers here. $214.8 million in 2021, projected to hit $481 million by 2033. That's a strong CAGR too, 6.949%, almost 7%.
Yeah, South America is definitely seeing rising tides in this sector. Brazil's the biggest market by value, growing at a healthy 6.8%.
Okay.
But interestingly, the fastest growth rates are actually in Argentina and Colombia. Both are showing CGRs over 7.4%.
Argentina and Colombia, what might be driving that?
Hard to say definitively from just this data, but it suggests, significant new investments or strategic focus. For Argentina, maybe offshore energy, maybe port upgrades. For Colombia, perhaps expanding their capacity to handle trade through both their Pacific and Caribbean ports. They're clearly pushing to enhance their maritime infrastructure.
Right, making targeted bets. Okay, next up, the Middle East, a region we often associate with rapid change and big projects.
And the numbers here reflect that. It started at $117.3 million in 2021, heading towards $263.7 million in 2033. That's another high CAGR, 7.066%.
Very strong. Where's the action concentrated here?
Saudi Arabia and Turkey are both growing fast, around 6.9% CAGR. But the real star performer in the Middle East is the UAE.
Let me guess, Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Exactly. The UAE started relatively small, under $19 million in 2021. But it's projected to reach almost $48 million by 2033. That translates to an incredible 8.165% CAGR.
Over 8% again. That rivals India almost.
It does. And it's almost certainly tied to their big economic diversification plans. Huge investments in ports like Jebel Ali, building up shipbuilding and repair capabilities.
Yeah.
They're aiming to be major global maritime players.
And Egypt.
Egypt's also showing strong growth, 7.536% CAGR, likely linked to the Suez Canal and related infrastructure development. Qatar is growing solidly, too.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, let's touch on Africa. Sometimes overlooked, as you said, but showing momentum. $115 million in 2021, projected to reach around $221 million by 2033. The CAGR is 5.29%.
That's right. Still growing, though maybe not quite as explosively as some other regions. Within Africa, Nigeria had the largest market size in 2021.
Okay.
But South Africa, starting a bit smaller at around $45 million, actually shows a higher growth rate, 5.756% CAGR.
So South Africa is kind of leading the charge in terms of growth momentum.
It seems that way. It suggests it's playing a key role as a hub for marine engineering, services, port development for the continent, but the overall growth across Africa shows that investment is happening, building up maritime capacity for trade, maybe resources. It's definitely part of the global picture.
What a fascinating tour around the world through the lens of marine engineering design. So, just to recap for everyone listening, we've seen this global market is set for really substantial growth, more than doubling between 2021 and 2033.
Driven by that solid 6.05% CAGR overall.
Right. But the regional stories are key. Asia Pacific is clearly the engine room, isn't it? Especially with India's incredible growth rate.
Absolutely, but also strong acceleration in South America, particularly Argentina and Colombia,
Yeah.
and the Middle East, with the UAE standing out. Even North America and Europe show consistent, if slightly slower, expansion.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you, our listener, a clear, concise view of this critical, if often hidden, global industry.
Yet understanding the why behind these numbers, the foundational design work driving all this ocean infrastructure, gives you a unique insight. It really shows where global focus and money are flowing in the maritime world.
So the final thought to leave you with, what does all this actually mean when you see this kind of sustained, varied growth across the globe for designing marine equipment? What does it really tell us about global priorities for the next decade? Is it shipping, offshore energy, maybe sustainable ocean use? And perhaps more importantly, where might you look next for the related opportunities or even the challenges that this trend signals?